right, here we go, baby. Wish me luck. All right, now I've got the kill tether pulled right now. I want to run the motor over a couple times just to get the oil moving around. And this thing's got some compression. Like a lot of compression. All right, let's see what happens here. Man. Can't believe how hard this thing is to kick. All right, I put on some better boots. Those other boots are like flip-flops. See what happens now if I can get a better kick. This thing, man. Dude, this thing is hella hard to kick. Hella hard. I'm like a 210-pound guy too, and I regularly work out. Even though during this quarantine, I've been a little bitch. But man, this thing is hard as hell to kick over. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I feel like too vintage. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so this thing must have serious compression. So what I'm going to do is kick it over a couple more times. I had to switch out my boots already because my old boots were whooped. So I put on my hiking boots that have like reinforced soles so they would save my feet a little bit. I'm about to put on my riding boots. This thing is a beast. So like I said, I'm going to kick it over a couple more times and make sure everything is circulating. And then I'm going to pull the plug and see if we have any gas on the plug, because it could be something as simple as the float is stuck and we're not getting any fuel. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm going to double check, make sure the spark is still good. And obviously we have compression. Otherwise it would just be a timing thing. So let's check it right now. I'll kick it over a few times. Maybe it'll start. All right, we shall try again, this time on the stand. Cannot believe how hard this thing is to kick. All right, let's pull this plug out. It's dry. All right, I got a BR9 ES plug that I just threw in there. I'm gonna see if we're getting spark. All right, we are getting spark. Not a very strong spark though. So let's pop this back in there and see if we can get some fuel in the cylinder. All right, take two. This time I'm going to give a little bit of gas. I forgot last time. This doesn't seem right. What the f***? Dude, this is ridiculous. All right, so at this point, I was starting to think that I possibly had a fuel issue. Even though there were small puffs coming out of the exhaust, something just didn't seem right. So I pulled the bowl off, made sure that the float height was in check, and I also did check our reeds to make sure that they weren't stuck.
Jesus Christ. Oh! Jesus.
It's got to be a timing problem. All right, no more playing around. I got the riding boot on. Woo! Riding boot makes a big difference, man.
Day 2.
All right, so this thing is obviously a beast to start. It's nice that it at least kicked over and then we could hear it run for a second. So I did a little bit of research last night and I was like up all night talking to my buddy Shell, who actually designed this radiator guard. But we both kind of came to the conclusion that we think it's something to do with the timing. And from what I understand, some of these aftermarket CDIs come hot right out of the box. So like they already have a little bit of advance in them. So me starting out at +4 timing may actually be a little bit more radical than +4 with a stock ignition or a CR250. So I'm gonna take it back to 0 and see how it is. And that should help out with the kick too, because I'm telling you, man, this thing bucks like a freaking Bronco. It just wants to throw you over the handlebars. And without boots on, it's kind of scary kicking it over. So let me dial it back. It's easy enough to do, and then we'll try kicking it. All right, we don't need the stator cover on to test this thing out. Let's see if that makes it a little bit easier to kick. No. My foot is like bruised from yesterday. This ain't right. All right, guys, it's possible that I just had a major breakthrough with this ignition. Check it out. So, and I could be wrong here too. The problem really is that the instructions for this thing are just not very clear. So I'll show you here. The instructions, they tell you to go, you can see with this picture, they want you to go 2 millimeters below top dead center, whether it's on a compression stroke. So we've done that. I have the dial indicator back in there. You can see it says 0 and I've gone down 2 millimeters. So we're where it's supposed to be timed, and this is where it sits. Now here's where there might be a major problem. So if you look at this thing, there's a bunch of hash marks, but there's no markings. Like they're not numbered. It doesn't say plus or minus or anything, but the center hash is raised and it's in the center. So I just kind of assumed that that was 0 degree timing. That would be no advance, no retard, just like 0. So that's where I set it. And you can see it's slightly to the left. I was under the impression that that would be advancing it. Actually, as I'm looking at this, I think that's actually on the counterclockwise side. This side is retarding, this side is advancing. Now here is what's interesting. So in the instructions, it says, turn the shaft position to 2 millimeters before it's a top dead center. We've done that. Then it says place the rotor on the shaft, aligning the mark on the rotor with the mark on the stator. Mind the position of the HPI logo. Take the second large marking according to the rotation direction. See images below. This position corresponds with the maximum advance in the ignition curve. See backside image. So you can see on here, this is where the HPI logo is. So for a counterclockwise motor, which is what the 250R is, we got it in the right direction, or in the right spot. And then this is the max advance area. So I don't know if 0 advance really is in the center, or if that's where they want you to start with this kit. I'm not really 100% sure. Every time I read this, I start thinking something differently, even as I'm reading this now, because it says, the position corresponds with the maximum advance in the ignition curve. So I guess this chart here kind of dictates maximum advance. That's where it would be, it says. So yeah, I'm gonna try putting it all the way over here. I might have to pop the flywheel off. I don't know if we have enough play in these slots, and we'll see what happens. If that is the case though, this thing is way out of time. So it would make sense that this thing is such a bear to start. All right, guys, at the very last second, I had a change of heart and I put it back basically in hopes that the center really is 0. And I advanced it this way because it was actually on the retarded side before. if you remember. So let's see what it's like here. I'm just afraid that if this is like radically advanced way out here, that'll be too much. So I don't want to risk that. So let's just try it right here and see what it feels like. God, if you can hear me right now, please don't let this Kickstarter blow my foot off. Comment, like, and subscribe, and share this video. Amen. My God.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, man. But it's running. It's running.
Day 3.
All right, guys. It's the next day. I got tired of kicking last night. Got Matt with me. I don't know if you saw, he was there last night too. And we've pretty much come to the conclusion that we think it's an ignition problem. I mean, literally ruled everything out, all the way down to suction coming from bad flow from the gas tank. So I had everybody look at the spark, and I mean, we kind of all agree the spark is like really, really, really weak. We even ran a ground cable directly from the coil right to the motor, so that there's no question it's got a good ground. It just doesn't seem right. So we're going to throw on the OEM Ignition now, and we'll see if it fires. All right, so we got the old ignition on. This is the OEM setup. You can see we got our pickup right here. We got the original flywheel, and we just kind of have all the electronics hanging. No kill switch or anything is plugged in. It should fire. We have really good spark now. I don't know. You think it's gonna start, Matt?
I think so. It's nice and crisp. So we'll see how she goes.
Got the official starting gear on. Let's see what happens. Wow. I just got to play with the pilot jet probably to get it to start without. A little that custom kill switch works.
Ta-da!
All right, well, yeah, well, I guess we'll leave it like that. We saw one of the hoses here is actually pressed up against the back of the pipe, so we don't want to let it get too hot. I think if we trim this down a little bit, we'll be able to push that hose in. And we'll have to drain the system anyway, because we want to move this temperature gauge. I'm happy with that, though, dude. I think definitely an ignition problem.
Yep, we got it.
Notice the shoes. So we have it set to 0-degree timing with the OEM Ignition. The kick is so much easier, and it's still hard. The kick is still like hard, but it's not a nightmare. The fact that Matt could actually do it with regular shoes is awesome. So yeah, we're definitely we need to do some jetting because you can see it's like super rich, and if you give it revs, it bogs a little bit. Yeah, guys, I'm pretty excited about this. I can't give HPI a good review at this point, so I'm gonna call Arlen at LED, let him know what's going on, because he is a good guy. I don't think he would try to sell me junk or anything. Maybe just for this CEO setup, it's just not a strong enough spark. I don't know. But it looks like we're going to be going with either CR ignition, or I'll just advance the timing on this one because I do have the advanced custom, what is that? The counterbalancer bearing holder that has the custom advancing and retarding dial on there. So maybe I will just do that for now, and then I can get this quad done, and we'll do CR250 in the future. In fact, that actually sounds good because it is running really well, and then I'll be able to get a good gauge of the difference between the CR250 and the OEM Ignition, if that's a mod that's actually worth the money too, because those CR250 ignitions are like $600+. Whoa! Hold your horses! I just got off the phone with Arlen, and before all you keyboard warriors go hopping over to the computer, I knew HPI sucked. HPI is the worst ignition ever. Arlen and LED sold me a piece of junk. Because I know people do that. That is not the case at all. And that's why I said I really doubt that Arlen would sell me anything that isn't a quality product. So anyways, I just got off the phone with him. I wasn't able to get in touch with him before I made all the other clips. Otherwise, I would have gone this route initially. But we did time that thing incorrectly. So my suspicions were actually correct. This is where you're supposed to mark or line up the marks on the HPI Ignition. So I had them marked, or according to the middle being 0, it is indeed supposed to go to this max advance mark. So just really confusing instructions, and Arlen agreed with me on that one. So what I'm going to do, this, the OEM Ignition does run awesome. Super stoked about it. The thing sounds awesome. But what I want to do is throw the HPI back on while we have everything apart. I will put it at the advanced settings that it's supposed to be at, and we'll see how it runs. And if it runs well, we'll leave the HPI on there. I'd like to give a good review of that product. And when I talk to Arlen at LED, he always blows my mind with information. We talked about ignitions just in general, and he said the OEM Ignition really is the best ignition to go with if it's a good one, because they do tend to degenerate, and then they don't have the greatest performance over time. Now, the one that I have on mine seems to be in really good shape. Now, that being said, I do want to try the HPI Ignition out. We also talked about CR250 ignitions, and in his opinion, he does say the OEM is the best way to go. And not that the CR250 ignition wouldn't work, but the OEM just seems to be the best one. And the reason that he runs the HPI is because he's constantly building these things, and you can't get OEM ignitions anymore. They're discontinued parts. So he can't be putting used parts on people's bikes. So the HPI is the best that he can find, that he can use, that typically seems to perform very well, and we will find out if we can time this thing properly. And there's also the possibility that this is a faulty unit. The stator could possibly be weak. Who knows? Before I go, I'm going to leave you with this because I know people will be asking. The fuel that we're running in here is Sunoco 110, and the oil is Super Technoplate by Klotz. So I absolutely love Klotz. This is their synthetic racing 2-stroke oil. It's got 20% castor oil in it, and it smells amazing. It's supposed to be really good for race fuel, And like I said, I just love Klotz. I've always used Klotz and I've never had any problems with it. So that's what I'm running, guys. I will see you in the next video. Remember to comment on this video, like this video, and share this video. I appreciate all you guys. Don't forget that thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.